Hi everyone, it's Miss Potts, and I hope that you are ready for a very exciting lesson today. So let's go ahead and take a look at our focus. Our focus for today's lesson is to find the absolute values of integers and to use absolute to compare integers. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to answer the questions: how do you find the absolute value of an integer? And how do you compare and order a set of negative integers without graphing them? Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you ever ask yourself, especially in math class, why am I learning this? How am I ever going to use it? So I want to make this lesson very meaningful to you by asking you this question. Have you ever heard of some temperatures being described as below zero? I'm sure that most of you have. I know that last winter that we had some evenings that got below zero. So I just want you to think about that. Along with me asking, did you know that you can use integers to describe and compare numbers that are less than zero? Did you? Huh. If I'm teaching you something new, then I'm doing my job. I like it. Let's establish some vocabulary that we need to know for this lesson. We're going to take a look at the term opposites first. Opposites are numbers that are the same distance from zero on a number line, but in opposite directions. So, for example, -4 and +4 are opposites because from 0 they're the same distance apart. They're 4 units from 0 on the number line. And the term integers that you heard in the focus, integers are a set of positive whole numbers and their opposites and 0. You also heard in the focus about absolute value. Absolute value is a number's distance from 0 on the number line. So, if we take a look at this example, we're asked to find the absolute value of -6. And these lines that are surrounding the value -6 mean absolute value. So we need to find the distance that -6 is from 0 on the number line. On the number line, -6 is 6 units from 0. So the absolute value of -6 is equal to 6. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example together where you're asked to find the absolute value of -4. We need to figure out how many units is -4 from 0 on the number line. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4 units. -4 is from 0 on the number line. So this means that the absolute value of -4 is 4. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to use a number line to help us compare and order these integers. We have a -2, a +3, and a -6 that we're asked to list out from least to greatest. So we're going to plot these points. We have -2, +3, and -6. So plotting them from left to right, or least to greatest, would be -6, -2, +3. We're going to kind of switch gears here, and I would like to review and see if you know what it means to evaluate an expression. What does evaluate mean? Well, evaluating an expression means that we are replacing or plugging in a number for a variable. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example together. We're asked to evaluate this algebraic expression that deals with absolute value. We have the absolute value of 6a minus 10. So we're going to evaluate or replace the variable a with -7. So we're going to take the absolute value of 6 times -7 minus 10. 6 multiplied by a -7 equals the absolute value of -42. The reason why that's negative is because we have a +6 and a -7. A positive and a negative integer, when they are multiplied together, equal a negative value. We're going to drop down the rest of the expression, -10. Now we're left to figure out what is the absolute value of -42. Well, ask yourself, how many units is -42 away from 0 on the number line? Well, that's 42. And we're going to drop down the rest of our expression, -10. And 42 minus 10 is equal to 32. So we evaluated the expression using absolute value. Let's take a look at another example. We're asked to evaluate 5 and the absolute value of z, where z is equal to -6. So let's go ahead and plug in -6 for our value of z. And the absolute value of -6. So ask yourself, how many units is -6 away from 0 on the number line? Well, that's 6 units. And 5 is being multiplied by the absolute value of -6, so we're going to drop down that operation. So you're left to multiply 5 times 6, which equals 30. I would like to take the time now to ask you the questions at the beginning of class. How do you find the absolute value of an integer? And how do you compare and order a set of negative integers without graphing them? Go ahead and ponder those questions. If you have further questions regarding this lesson, please don't hesitate to let me know. And don't forget to answer the questions below and complete your assignment on this lesson. Bye, guys.